So FAST is on a hyper-growth trajectory, and it seems to me that OTT is leading it. So what do you think is driving this trend?
Yeah, I'd say we're definitely leading in some ways, riding a wave that's rising on boats as well. I think what's behind it is user preference. What's old is new again in a lot of ways, and users for 60 plus years were watching live linear channels on their TVs, and that was a preferred experience. There was the sudden proliferation of SVODs, where users all of a sudden were piecemeal bundling, creating bundles of the streaming services they want, and looking at a wall of on-demand movie titles. And that in a lot of ways can be intimidating. There's paralysis by analysis. And with FAST, about 7 years ago coming onto the scene, all of a sudden users were shown a more familiar interface with a guide, and live content that was free. And because of subscription fatigue, which is a bit of a cliche, but it definitely, all the data supports that users did not want to add another paid service. They want to add a few free services that they can sample and sort of piecemeal what content they're looking for from each one. And that's sort of how FAST is winning the day right now.
Yeah, it's fascinating. And I land up seeing press articles almost daily saying Netflix has a FAST now, and Google, and just about every large vendor is picking it up just as much as the smaller ones. And that's fascinating. So it seems like a competitive market. How did you figure whom you wanted to go after in terms of your target audience?
We're big into experimenting. We kind of let the market tell us what to lean into. So we threw a lot of different brands and different genres up against the wall, and we had some content to start with, so that guided a bit what the brands were around, but we didn't know if we'd have, since most of our library was movies, we didn't know if we'd be a male-focused streaming service, female, or what niches we'd fit into. So we were very much into experimenting with creating different brands around niches we might fit inside of, and then seeing where we stuck, and then doubling down on those genres.
Yeah, experimentation live with an audience. That's basically what you've done, which is fascinating. So what drives retention and what makes your users keep coming back?
It's, everyone says content is king, and it truly is. So sort of our initial strength was creating brands, hacking SEO in a way, and getting users to click into our apps. Once they're in, it's 100% content that's leading the way. There's a bit of a commoditization, I think, for the user interfaces of most streaming apps. It's really, as long as you present the titles in a clear, easy to search way, everyone's kind of on equal footing from that standpoint. And it comes down to having both a strong content library and then a high refresh rate, where we're trying to, every time a user logs into our app, we want them to see completely different titles. So it feels like a live ecosystem that's growing and constantly changing.
Got it. And then, the last thing I really have is, how do you get user feedback today, and how do you think CuVo can transform that?
Yeah, today it's quite challenging. We kind of read the tea leaves of data and try to make assumptions about our users based on what viewership patterns there are, but it's quite hard to isolate certain cohorts by doing that, and it's a lot of guesswork. We've done some surveys, but it's very difficult after the fact to get users to fill out a Google survey and give honest feedback that's useful. So we're looking forward to it with CuVo. In the moment when a user has an issue or has feedback for us, we can collect it right there, and potentially save that user from churning in the moment. And if it's not the sort of feedback that's at risk to lose a user, at least we can review it, and it probably has more actionable insights because it's real-time feedback from the viewer.